spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mumm-Ra'S, ever living!
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Tidarium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I'm going to talk to you about the vintage Thundercats Mumm-Ra'S tomb. Now, this is an interesting playset. It's more or less a backdrop. This day and age, it does have a handful of features, but I'm going to talk to you about my take on the entire Thundercats line. Going to get into the features of this. I haven't really talked about Thundercats ever before, so I'm going to get into all of this coming up. First off, the Thundercats are still wildly popular, mostly because of the media. The show itself is a solid show. Watching it as an adult in the 2020s, it is holding up versus some of the other shows that were made back in the 80s. It has some continuity to it, and it does have some themes to it. It seems to be an interesting show for the few episodes I've gotten the chance to watch. The toys themselves are big, they have play features to them, but they're quite simplistic overall. Now, for me personally, I don't really think that they should command the high prices they are commanding, but that's just kind of the way it is, and you could say that about almost any 80s franchise that's out there. Now, I've never been super into these, but I've always had a Lion-O, and I've always had his Lion-O sword and those kinds of things. I always thought that was fun, and that was cool, and made me want to dive a lot deeper into this toy line. So looking at this tomb overall, first of all, it is a menacing, evil, crazy looking playset. This thing, a lot of people say it can double as Indiana Jones's Temple of Doom. Yeah, I could see that working. I named the dog Indiana. Now this playset has 3 pieces. They're kind of connected right here, and it's kind of like 2 giant statues. One on each side, they each have a play feature, and then the big party trick is what goes on in the middle. So we're going to start at the left side of this thing. Now looking at this, this is kind of a giant lizard. Kind of a big old lizard piece here. It's kind of cool. It's a statuesque, and he's wearing, he's at a toga party, so that works really well. He does have some paint on the eyes, and I think this head here, it moves around a little bit so we can kind of see what's going on. So it's not just static, and that's kind of cool, I guess. The big thing about this is this tail. Now this tail, if you work a lever in the back, it moves. A lot of times this is broken or missing, so when I set out to get mine, I just wanted to make sure I still had a tail on it, and yeah, you could definitely destroy this thing in shipping. Theoretically, when you move this tail, you're able to knock over a figure. I'm not going to be too aggressive with it because I don't want to break it. So the next feature we have here is this main body, the main part. And this is, of course, what the playset's all about. Now, it does have some white paint up here, and it kind of subtly mixes into this kind of a greenish type of gray, greenish type of gray paint. It does look interesting. It's definitely quite scary, quite ominous, and the door does clip closed. You can unclip it open, and then if you look inside here, you're going to see that I already have loaded it with Mumm-Ra, the old Mumm-Ra, and I'm not putting any accessories in there. Wait, I don't even have his accessory, but it doesn't matter. But usually people load up their accessories in there and it works, but I'm not going to test it because I'm a little concerned that it's not going to work right. So once you do, you close this door, and then you roll the dial on the back, and then you say a little something about Mumm-Ra, the ever-living, and then there you go, you got Mumm-Ra. So he does his transformation in this tomb. Now, I know a lot of people, oh yeah, when he's transformed, he's got all this headdressing stuff on. I'm not using that on there. Just have an extra one in there. I think it's kind of fun to have an extra one just tossed in there for the transformation process. If you can look real close and you look at his right hand in there, you can see that there's a little post, and I think he's supposed to hold on to that so he stays positioned as he's turning. I couldn't quite get it on there just right, and again, I don't want to snap it or anything like that, but it looks like they had a lot of stuff planned on this. Also, you could put either figure in on either side because there's a dual foot mount, so that's cool, so you don't have to say, oh, on this one side is the old one, on this one is the other one, so there we go, and that kind of works. Next up, we're going to take a look at this guy here. He is cool looking also, and his head moves, or it looks like it's supposed to move. I don't really move his head. That's not something I do for fun. And he's got quite a bit of detailing to him. He's got a 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess you'd call it. He's working on an 8-pack there, so that's pretty awesome. He's staying in shape. That's great. And then down here, there's really not much. It's just a little bit of paint to it, and it is kind of strange how we see some discoloring to it. I don't know if that's across the border or if mine's the only one that's got discoloring, but there it is. Now it does do one thing, one little party trick. When you push a lever in the back, the arms go up. You could knock a figure over, I guess. Maybe he doesn't like Panthro and does that. It's still good that they put as many play features as you could into a playset. It just seems like we don't get playsets anymore these days, and if we do, they have very few play features. Unless they have a Nerf gun feature. That seems to be the new wave of playsets in the new millennium. Looking at the back of this thing, it looks like kind of a high-tech computer station. There's a lot of detailing right here, which would be some gears, and not gears, but wires and buttons and stuff like that. You got panels for it, so it's like, oh, this thing's all just electrical. It's electrical. It's 1.21 gigawatts. And a little bit of stickers here. Now, I made all my own stickers. This thing came with no stickers, including the eyes. We'll get back to that. But it looks like there'd be a button here, but that's just detailing moved into there. Nice, beautiful screws. They did put the screws on the back. Here's the lever that, or not the lever, but the dial that turns Mumm-Ra to change him from one thing into the other. And then these guys just have kind of hollow spaces. Now, again, I say this is more of a backdrop than a playset. I don't really count this as a full playset. Even though it's counted as a playset, I don't really count it as a playset. But then again, if you're an adult collector displaying your stuff, what does it really matter? I'm thinking maybe you can put a figure up here or something like that. Maybe that works. That would be interesting. I always wonder, like, why is this the way it is? Is there a way to put a figure? Is there a specific figure that fits better right there? You can have Hachiman manning the display over here and getting mad at it and putting a sword through it. I'm sure that's something that could happen. But there he is. This has some detailing on this paneling here, etched in detailing. The stickers, of course, I made my own. They probably don't fit just right, but they look good enough for me. They get the job done. And down here, more hoses and stuff. Looking over to the other side, Hachiman doesn't like those any more than the other side. He likes these even less. He says it's a lot more work, but there is some design work going on in here, some paneling, some etch work, some hoses, and of course some stickers to make it look pretty good. And this is very, very simplistic, very simple, but yet it commands a high price. And there's another look at the back of this thing, and of course a couple figures in there always makes it look just a little bit better. Of course, I don't know anyone that's going to display it from the back. I mean, who's displaying this thing from the back? The front's where the party trick is.
So, mine they shall be.
So, it has one more feature that I want to talk about, and of course I made my eyes myself, so maybe they won't work so good. Let's test this out, and we are going to make this absolute, complete, and total darkness. Took a couple of attempts to get this on camera just right, but here we go. Now it's showing up. It doesn't last as long. That whole light gimmick, the whole glow in the dark gimmick. Let's get a better angle so it can absorb the light better. And let's do it again. There it goes. Doesn't stay lit as long as I'd like it to, but hey, fun gimmick from the 80s. Lastly, I want to show what this set looks like if you put some Matty Collector figures in front of it. Now, Matty Collector is no longer, Super 7 is picking up the Matty Collector line. They're making the first 7, and then they're moving, well, they're making the first 5. I don't know if they're going to do Wily Kit and Wily Cat, but I got the first 7 from the Matty Collector run, and then I'm going to pick it up with Super 7. Hopefully, continue that ride. They're going to make a whole lot of figures, but in my experience, the Matty Collector is just so much better than what we had in Vintage. Now, we collect Vintage a little bit different reasons than we collect, say, Matty Collector, but this displays very well. These figures look really good. They're a little bit bigger, which they need to be a little bit bigger in my opinion, but the Matty Collector scale, and if I could get this guy to stand up there. Okay, so they are a little bit bigger. So this stuff, kind of the play sets from back in the day, because this toy line already was so big, it still looks good next to Matty Collector stuff. A lot of things that were Matty Collector in the past are way too big to go with the original stuff. This works well. Let me know what you think about this Mumm-Ra'S tomb. Where are you at with Thundercats? Do you like Thundercats? Are you going in on the vintage stuff? Are you in with the 2011 stuff? Do you like the 3/4 inch scale down? Do you like the Matty Collector scale up? And do you think this playset would work for all of them? Or are you just going to pick it up for an Indiana Jones playset? Let me know about all of this. Like and subscribe. Tydirium Hanger out.
I could lure Lion-O and the others to their doom.